Okay, so open up the public hearing for Sapolis. Thanks. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Not paying attention.
Hello again.
Good evening.
Laura Smith, I represent the Capolas in this application.
Is it Laura Smith?
Laura Smith, I work at Nixon Peabody.
So make sure everybody's on the same page because it's what happened the first time. Yes, for use variance. Correct.
Yes,
And you know the criteria?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll make sure we're all on the same page.
thank you. No, I very much appreciate it.
Yep.
And I'm happy to go through our letter and how we meet the balancing test set for the use variance. We could pause and take questions, really whatever your preference is.
You present your side of the story first.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep.
So in the letter that we sent, it's dated June 8th, looks like everyone has it before them. Candidly, understanding that use variances is a high bar and it is rare to have them to be able to meet the bar and have them approved. This is, I think, one of those rare occasions that it is in fact warranted here. I do think that we meet all of the requirements, and it is that unusual time that I do think a use variance is warranted. So first I'll walk through that the property cannot yield a reasonable return as demonstrated by competent financial evidence. Here, looking at the price of the house after the Capolas bought it, the purchase price of $445,000. Just a few years later, 5 years later, when the prior owner purchased the property, it was valued at $175,000. Now, again, to be transparent, we understand that the market has changed and the market increased, but that's a pretty significant change. One of the items that really drew the Capolas to the property and really brought that value to them was having the additional space for his parents, his in-laws, and visitors to come be at the lake with them and have more room for their expanding family. They have 3 bedrooms in the main house. So looking at the property and being under the impression that it could be a 5-bedroom home with some separate space, again, for our parents or for guests, that was a major part of the value to them when they were looking at the property. Second, the hardship is unique to this property and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood. This one's particularly unique because the construction above the garage or above the barn was commenced by the prior owner, who passed away very suddenly. I believe he was a pretty young guy. When the estate was selling the property, I don't know if they didn't know that it wasn't a permittable use. I don't want to put knowledge on them, but when looking at the postings online and visiting the house when doing a showing, it is very evident these 2 rooms are part of the house. They're shown on the listing. They're prominently displayed on the website. So it's very clear that these 2 are part of the house. So uniquely, yes, please.
So when you say part of the house?
Part of it, they are legally permittable uses as part of the house. So if you look at the online listings of the house, it shows the 2 bedrooms being under construction above.
They're not part of the house.
They're not part of the same contiguous building, correct? But part of, thank you. I didn't mean, yes, part of the property. Thank you. I didn't mean to cause.
Yeah, that sounds.
Well, when you look at the listing, right, when you're clicking through, as we all do, and Zillow on our phones, the listing is showing the 2 bedrooms. They are clearly being portrayed as legal bedrooms, 2 items that were just in the middle of construction that would have been completed, but for, this tragic event to the family. So the hardship is unique to this property because when Mike and Christina bought the property, they had no reason to think that the bedrooms couldn't be finished. It was very unique to this property that it was not an impermissible use by Mike and Christina. It was an impermissible use by the prior owners, and really kind of no way of knowing that if the bedrooms weren't permitted.
Okay,
Yeah, please.
clarify something. When you're referring to these bedrooms, it's in the outer building.
Yes.
It's not part
Correct.
of the house itself. That's
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, so there is the house itself. It has 3 bedrooms in the house
Okay.
itself. The item that is kind of before you today are the 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a potential kitchenette in above the garage,
Gotcha.
Accessory structure.
in the accessory structure. Thank you.
Okay,
So when they were looking at the house, it was framed out for 2 bedrooms, had plumbing begun into the house, but not quite fully plumbed. And no,
Bathroom framed out.
and a bathroom framed out,
Mhm.
thank you, but no indication that this was not allowed or this was illegal construction going on at the time. Again, I don't know if the family didn't know. I don't know if it was because of the death in the family. They were just looking to get rid of the lake.
and this was a realtor that you were dealing with that explained to you that you would be able to
Yep. Yep.
use
Yeah,
these buildings?
yeah, and honestly, it was a really attractable parts of the property. We weren't the only offer on the house. There were 10 offers on the house, and we won by $1,000. So there were 9 other people who also saw the value in it.
Gotcha.
So, and it did have a permit from the previous code enforcer on it.
That was no longer valid.
That was,
That was,
yes,
that we're probably saying was,
There was a stop work order.
yeah.
So it had a permit and then there was a stop work order that was issued and it was actually in court when he passed.
So
That's,
That was disclosed or pointed out by the realtor.
correct.
by the realtor, when you
Yep.
went here before, you said that, not to just pick on one person, but you said your wife had investigated and found out there was a permit issued for the property.
Yeah, we knew that there, somehow looking into it, we knew that there was a permit on it, which there was. It was for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom remodel issued again by the previous code enforcer, but we learned it had a stop work order. And that's when we started to work with Joe.
But you'd already bought the property.
Yeah, we already bought the property.
Okay, so you did the investigations, basically a complete.
We did the due
investigation.
diligence that we could do. Yeah.
That's, that's arguable about whether you did enough, because that's, and not to pick on you guys, because you did yourself. But finding out that a permit had been issued without finding out whether it was still current is a considerable difference. So that's one of those things where, buyer beware, you took the responsibility to do it yourself and didn't find out until you closed the property or sometime thereafter, that in fact, there really wasn't an active permit.
We worked with an attorney that closed on the property with us.
Title search.
Yeah.
A permit.
Title sure won't show a permit.
Show any kind of building permit.
That's-
And candidly, I see this all the time of individuals, not with too much frequency doing residential, but certainly with some frequency. Going to the code enforcement officer, going to the municipality is pretty rare. And even when, you think of illegal decks or bathrooms in the basement, I'm sure Joe's seen every color of that. It is rare for a residential purchase to go to the code enforcement officer to see if it's legal. When the realtor says there are 2 bedrooms or there's 3 bedrooms and it could be 5, and it's shown in the listing and you're against 9 other offers, it is, hindsight is 20/20, right?
Yeah, the realtor's not to your benefit.
Yeah,
I learned that now.
I think that they're doing, I think the
But
realtor would
again-
use,
Again, that,
Yeah.
because you took it upon yourself to do the investigation to find out about the permit and failed to get to completion of what that situation was, that's pretty much on you, that part of it.
this was, just to clarify, this was after we purchased.
and by.
No, if you, yeah,
Yeah, this was after we closed on the property, honestly.
so you didn't find out that there was a permit issued till after you purchased?
Correct.
But I think by a year or 2.
Yeah,
It wasn't until you were ready to
to start.
the construction yourself
Yep.
that you learned that the permit was incorrectly.
Invalid.
Yes,
No.
and actually should never have been issued.
So,
The notice was actually for the stop work order, like that's what you had notified me about. And then in working with Joe to figure out how to remedy it, that's one that we realized that it was probably incorrectly even issued in the first place. So And I get your point,
Well,
absolutely.
I'll just because
Yeah.
if they told you, and again, that's neither us nor you, more you than than the town, if they told you there was a permit open for this, or did you just?
No, they didn't.
Done.
Oh, great question. You're talking about when we were in the process of buying?
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Like in the process of buying, the estate head was totally uninvolved. She was mourning the death of her husband. She was totally uninvolved. So they were, and she honestly did not know a lot about things. And so they had a real estate agent and we had a local, he does a lot of real estate on the property who we purchased from. And he had no concerns about it. And then we obviously went through the typical process. We worked with an attorney out of Rochester. He did all the title searches. He did everything. And we closed. Yeah, we closed an excited family and we got this property. And, once we started to actually, we didn't right away think about doing anything with it. Once we started to, that's when I started working with Joe and we discovered these issues. And that's when we.
So you'd already set on the price of the property without even knowing that there was a permit situation?
Yeah.
Live?
Right, it
Okay.
was based on the assumption that it was current at the time 3 bedrooms, but was soon to be five bedrooms.
So I got a question. What physically existed upstairs in this accessory structure when you bought it? The walls were framed in?
Yeah, exactly as it is essentially.
These are sewer hookups for a toilet, but no toilets?
So it's hooked up to public sewer. It had a toilet that had like some rough stuff going to it.
Okay.
The bathroom was otherwise unfinished. There's a well there right now and it's the pipes are to the well, but I worked with Joe last year, 2 years ago, and we have public water accessible to it. So from an environmental standpoint, we have that.
And it currently,
They had the well inside the building? Or was,
I think it's inside the building.
I
It's
remember the scene
it's
was
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it currently sits the same?
it's the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. Yep.
I can attest to that too. I did multiple inspections with this contractor.
So when you purchased the property, the toilet was hooked up or was
Yeah.
not hooked up?
Was.
Was hooked up? When you did the first inspection?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. When I did the initial inspection, it was, I think it was Mr. Porter or Potter.
Potter.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still your current, but then we did another inspection maybe a year later to get more clarity on what needed to be done.
Okay.
And I met with this contractor again and we spoke more about what needed to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, so when we were starting to figure out how do we fix this problem, we brought Joe in and I had a contractor actually work with Joe. Because at that point, I wanted to make
just trying
sure.
to make sure we get.
I want to make sure,
The
yeah.
timeline, that's all, because it's involved.
Clarify the terminology on this building. If we were to grant this, there would be 2 principal use structures on one property, because it would no longer be a secondary or auxiliary structure, correct?
I can
Be living
see that, yes, it would be he's asking for a second principal use, which is the use.
That is the variance, second principal use.
Correct. Correct.
And which is exactly, so that's where the confusion came initially. So that is what the request
It's
is.
nothing to do with area.
No, it's use
Yes.
variance. And that's why we had this done with the. So they understood it was use variance, not a area variance. Keep going.
Yeah, thank you. Third, I'll note that the use variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. There will be no changes to the exterior of the building. The building will continue to be the same footprint of the barn. It's just the interior. The walls will continue to be, not whiteboard. Oh my goodness, now I've embarrassed myself.
Exterior?
The inside.
Drywall.
Drywall. That's okay.
It's been a long day. The walls will be drywalled, the rest of the building will be finished inside. But the exterior of the building will have no change. It is hooked up to public sewer. It has the access for public water. So the additional 2-bedroom use on the property will have no impact to the neighbors. And I would assume also candidly, the neighbors might have already thought the 2 bedrooms were underway. They would have seen the construction going on. So I think to the extent of will granting this use variance impact the neighbors here because there'll be no physical exterior changes to the building. There'll be no changes really to the neighborhood or the character of the neighborhood. And last, as we've been alluding to on our timeline, the hardship has not been self-created. They were under the, in my opinion, very reasonable impression that the 2 bedrooms were permitted to be finished. When they were going through, they were under, again, that time pressure of being against 9 other bidders. And when looking at the online data and the online pictures and working with their realtor and working with their attorney, there was kind of no way of them to know, but for calling Joe and then grilling him and saying, let's talk about the building permit. There's no really reasonable way they would have known that it wasn't permitted or the construction that was started couldn't be completed. So to the extent here, again, looking at that timeline, the difference between purchasing and then actually wanting to move forward with the construction and obtain your own building permit. That's when the error was recognized.
I would say too, Joe's been, I told you this too, you've been extremely helpful, Assets like Joe to work with owners like us, like me, that are educating and learning on the process is extremely helpful. And I appreciate Joe's been helpful the whole time.
And the code's complicated. I mean,
It
it is a real judge.
Have you spoken with the realtors? To me, it seems, and I could be all wrong on this, but it seems to me that they were not giving you the true picture, the whole truth about the property. If anything, they should know that there cannot be in Canada 2 principal uses.
Yeah, I think they disclose everything they knew. It's hard to explain what was going on at that time. The wife didn't want to be involved at all. She was having financial issues. She needed the money she had 3 kids, 2 were special needs.
Right.
She was in a really tough spot, so I don't at all blame them for not. And the husband, honestly, we know the neighbors very well. Our neighbors are probably our best friends at the lake, and they were best friends with them before. And the husband did everything. He ran the show. I really do not think she knew.
Okay. But I really think that they did you a big disservice by not letting you know up front what was she right up.
You can't.
I'm at the realtor.
Oh, the realtor.
The realtor should have been very cognizant of the fact of what was going on.
Yeah, and I don't think the realtor honestly knew either.
And
I think that they.
I don't know the timeframes of the court documentation, but when it was in court, it can be different timeframes because they keep adjourning it, not knowing what happened.
He was the guy that was dealing with that. That's been established.
Right. And
so there's nobody to talk to firsthand.
Right, and I think it was at the second court hearings when they established that the death record, he passed away, so they had to.
But I'm talking about from their end. There's nobody to talk to firsthand because right. So everything you got was basically hearsay.
Yeah, hearsay, and honestly, a massively condensed time period. This was, and again, I'm not trying to create excuses, but we saw the house, all bids were in by like literally the next day. We love the place. We were going through a lot of family issues myself. We want the cottage. We love it. The kids love it. So we did everything we can do our due diligence, but I understand I understand it. It's just such a compressed time period. So.
Yeah, that period of time, it was 2019. Did you buy it?
2021.
June.
Yeah. It was the middle of COVID.
And houses were
Right in the panel.
Yeah.
It was right there. Yep. Yeah.
They were basically sold every weekend.
Yeah.
It
was like
no, that was not unusual for what was going on at that time.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have your opinion on the use variance should be granted?
So yeah, I think what Laura just went through were those basically going through the use variance criteria, going through each of them one by one.
I have a question. Have you, just addressing point number one, gotten an appraisal or any evidence to show what the property could be worth today? If that was just a secondary use barn storage?
It was 3 bedroom instead of
Yes.
what you was.
The house was the house and the second building was not based off secondary use, non-principal use building.
We got an appraisal
Yes.
for it now? We have not gotten an appraisal, yeah.
You did talk to the assessor though, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah, we did talk to the assessor. Because I was analyzing the, tax effect. And we just got assessed, in my opinion, almost as if it is what it's advertised on the listing that we purchased.
Right, if I remember the conversation we had before.
Yeah.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. You said that you had her look at the building and whether it was bedrooms or not, it was still assessed the same value.
Yeah. I'm trying to do my due diligence
I
too on this
understand.
side. And you understand taxes, we're in a really high real estate area, which is, I understand. I wanted to know if I got to use variance approved. I also asked Joe this. I said, if one is approved, I also want to make sure that what is going to happen to my taxes right away. And I had her look into it, and it did not change the number. Yeah. That's Holly is who I
No, I,
talked to. So I tried to do my
so
research
from,
as best I could.
from the assessor's point of view, the building is the building, whether you have other improvements inside or not.
Mostly.
That's not an appraisal, it's the assessment.
What is in good construction. She said the fact that it's,
Mostly what it's based on.
yeah. So when she plugged that in,
But that's different than an appraisal.
It is different, correct? Right, we were looking at the market price at the time the prior owner purchased it, when it was squarely at 3 bedrooms versus what the market was demanding when they purchased it a few years later. And showing that
Dramatically different.
dramatically different. And again, I don't want to discount, the market had changed, but that is quite a price difference between
Yeah, it
the
was.
2016 price and 2021 price.
You happen to know what okay, so you had. No reduction of that for the potential side of it. So it was. Owner purchase property 2016, that's. Virtually irrelevant. 5 years prior to that, do you happen to know, so what was the listing price? You know that?
this I'd have to, Ms. Rod, I have to look at it. It was, we can look, I think it was somewhere in the high 3s. Like, I want to say.
I remember you said you paid over the listing price.
We paid substantially over the
Yeah.
listing price, yeah.
Okay,
I have another question.
You said the listing price was 200,000.
listing price
Oh, I'm
is
sorry,
more than the
oh, okay,
price,
sorry.
that's, see,
Yeah,
that's a whole
yeah,
different.
yeah.
If this were to
That
be
jump
approved,
Examples and
for the
oranges.
second story of the structure, how is it going to meet code for living space? I'm seeing only one entrance at the moment.
Yeah, great question. So we would have to absolutely work with Joe. And I think he would have probably a list of things that he's already gone through with me, a list of things that we would have to do from a building standpoint, which is somewhat separate,
Yeah, it's.
to meet code.
It's a good question. So it would be considered a dual occupancy structure. So the lower half would be a U classification, which is like barns, sheds, garages. And then the upstairs would be an occupancy of R3, which is a residential. So everything upstairs would have to meet current 2025 residential code because the building permit would be issued in 2025.
Right,
So that's a whole another thing that we're gonna have to sit down and talk about if this gets approved. So each level would have its own set of rules that had to be followed before a certificate of occupancy can be issued.
Sure. Let me just get this clarified. If this is permitted, if we okay the use part of it, you, even though knowing what the town law is about second dwelling part,
Yeah.
you can still issue a permit for that?
Yes, because the variance
Yeah,
would
That
grant relief.
supersedes?
It would grant relief for the town code not allowing two principal use.
Okay.
That would be the nature of the variance.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Another question, how many parking spots are on the property currently?
So I mean, it's,
So, but though. You can't really see it from Encore, but as I see it, that you could at least fit three in the front. Because it looks like there was a parking area there at one point and then the grass kind of grew up.
yep,
It's
There's
it's
stone
like a
there.
turnaround there now, so you could fit three on. The spot for the garage, and then of course you've got the garage itself that can park two.
yep.
I think, is it two or four? I can't remember.
There's a huge door. I remember it in the picture.
Yeah, I think it's, I think it would be
It's
considered.
two.
Yeah. And then, of course, you got the whole driveway itself, so you could,
There's two parking actually for the cottage too, so there's two for our main house.
yes,
There's two in the turnaround area,
yep.
and then there's inside the garage.
And we aren't getting close to lot coverage for impermeable surface?
No, I checked that too as well. And that would have been checked when the barn.
Yeah.
So the barn was built in 2004. I did make sure that the barn had a permit itself. Which would put that prior to our zoning laws. So any of the distances would have been based on the 2004 town ordinances, not
When did the zoning laws go in?
2007. So the deck was permitted, those were permitted on zoning laws for past 2007. That was built in or 14.
The town orders and all.
No, the new zoning.
Oh, the new,
The-
okay.
The deck was approved.
The deck was after.
Yeah, yep, yep, and then I approved the separation of the water line because the town doesn't allow separation in the water line from the curb step to the house without approval. And I approved it in the garage because at the time, we weren't, it was still an accessory structure, so I technically couldn't deny it. And you're allowed to have water in your accessory structure. What Mike and I came to the conclusion that he wasn't gonna do anything with it. It was just a pipe in the garage right now.
There's a curbs, and we made sure that we had a proper curb stop and
Yes.
add that structure too. Yep.
So you can have water, but you can't have toilet facilities.
Yes. So
Legally.
just to clarify, I think I may have, mixed things up here with the code. And just to put it on the record too, the state code is separate
Mhm.
from the town code. The state code does define dwelling and dwelling unit. Our code book defines dwelling and dwelling unit. What the state code doesn't define is principal use. So they're asking for a variance for our town code in principal use.
Right.
It's still an occupancy because it has to be classified as a R3 occupancy through the state.
Okay.
Because that's gonna dictate how it's built. And it is living space. And
So
so.
whether it's considered a dwelling or not.
Correct. It's still an occupancy.
Yeah.
And that was my reason for my justification for denying the permit.
Exactly right. There are two separate codes. One, of course, is the building code. The other is the zoning code. Even without zoning, you have to comply with the building code. There's
Yes.
no choices, no variances
Right.
except issued by the Department of State. The zoning code and candidly, the building code probably says little, if anything, about how many number of buildings or types of buildings can be on the same lot. It just talks about if you have two buildings on separate lots, they have to have they have to have publicly owned laterals serving them, right? That's the type of thing the building code is looking at. It is your zoning code
Mhm.
that has the requirement for the one principal use. So to the extent of it, should this be granted, the building would have to be in compliance with the building code.
Yeah, that's a separate issue.
So it's a completely
To get the
separate.
C of A.
Right, and so the the structure, the living structure there is classified as an R3 occupancy.
Gotcha.
And the potential building that we're currently talking about, it would have to classify as an R3 occupancy in order for someone to live or to stay in it overnight.
And meet the building code requirements.
Right, which ultimately classifies it as the principal use.
0.7.
Yeah, I looked into
We
that.
thought about, I know.
We looked into the fact that he could have maybe potentially gone to the planning board if he had 1 acre, but he doesn't have an acre.
It's a current non-conforming lot.
Yeah,
So you can't subdivide it.
It's non-conforming because of not because of how much is there, but because it doesn't have 50 frontage of.
Mhm.
Not enough frontage for two lots.
Street frontage?
Actually, no, I think it does. I don't remember. I don't want to put that on the record without knowing if it had the amount of frontage.
It looks like it has 80 feet.
Well, it does, but there's also
There's an easement in the middle, it looks like, for
Yeah.
a drive.
the lake frontage. You have to have 50 foot of lake frontage.
It can't be cut half.
No, yeah, it wouldn't be able to, you have to have 100 feet.
And their intent is to not use it as a completely separate facility. It is meant to be for their guests, their parents. It's,
Property outlives its current.
of course it does, but you know, to the concept of
Yep.
treating it as two separate, you know, that's not your intent.
Correct.
Just revealing your position on the use variance things.
The criteria, yeah.
Hardship is unique to the property and does not apply a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood. And stand this, suppose, what's your name?
Sapola.
Yeah.
All good.
Sorry about that. I'm a numbers person, not a name person. Be a horrible sports announcer. Suppose hardship is specific to the property and the town's potential erroneous issuance of building permit for guest rooms. It would be difficult for the ZBA to demonstrate that any of the property in the district or neighborhood priorities commence construction under a potentially erroneous permit. Let's permit last, passway, or state. You are aware of the fact that even if someone makes a mistake,
Of course,
we
Yes.
find out about the mistake later.
yes,
Um,
yes. It's just a note of.
Yeah.
There was
We have the obligation to
Yeah,
correct the
it-
mistake.
you have the obligation, of course, correctly, but it was under the assumption that everything was in fact legal. There was,
No, I understand that.
but certainly there's no laches against municipality.
Just to, so you understand, we
Yeah.
just had the conversation about if somebody starts doing something they're not supposed to.
Even
That
with the
doesn't,
permit.
yeah, even with a permit. That doesn't mean you can just pick up and keep going with the same project once somebody finds out there was a mistake made.
Yep.
Right. Even to the
Yep.
same individual.
Yeah.
The permit is
Unfortunately,
issued.
It's horrible.
yeah, we've had. In his position, it
Is this your
full-time residence?
No, it's not.
Request use variance not alter its character of the neighborhood, granted no impact character. Change the outside part of the building. Find out the hardship has not been self-created. Certain project was issued, a building permit commenced, a lot unfinished. And the permit in fact was actually revoked.
Does it say revoked? May I ask?
No, it doesn't, they don't say it here.
Okay, because
No,
revoked.
this is their argument for.
Okay. All right, well,
I'm just reading.
Being technical here, revoked is completely different than the stop work order.
Oh, okay. So they got a stop work order.
Yes, stop work order implies that they're doing something wrong and they need to fix it. Revoking means they've done something wrong. And they're not allowed to continue.
Okay, so the stop work order was issued
Yes.
because they weren't doing something right.
Well, what they weren't doing, if that's what you're asking,
Breaking the law.
is the property owner was not renewing his permit.
Okay,
And
Let the permit lapse.
right, he let the permit lapse and they sent multiple reminders, violations, and we have like a 4 month, spread in between getting to court and an appearance ticket. So you
Yeah.
have a lot of time. There were also no inspections done in between when the permit was issued and when the stop work order. So, and the inspections are supposed to be the property owner's responsibility to call and schedule inspections, correct? And because there were no inspections and the property owner was not letting them come and do the inspections, he made the decision to put a stop work order.
okay.
And to clarify, that was the previous owner.
I'm,
Too many heat.
there was,
Yeah.
there wasn't an active order. I'm just trying to get
The timing,
proper-
right? Yep.
Yeah, what it actually was. So you're claiming that the hardship was not self-created. So I'm just reading your position on the line. I'm rehearing. Oh, I think this is just a copy of the same thing.
Yep.
Trying to keep
Sorry.
putting all those over there. Keep to the facts here. So you have maybe a separate issue entirely, but you have a plot diagram survey map.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a right of way. In common with others across an area of 20 feet.
That's up top. That's Twin Bay Drive essentially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not.
With it.
Yeah, that's
Without a
essentially.
survey map. I'm just
Yeah.
make sure we didn't have another thing going on here.
Is there any differences in state fire code for setbacks or building separation based on building classification for residential versus a house
Not if it's on the same property.
on property?
No, if it's on the same property, you can,
What about the neighboring property? We're already only at 8 feet here.
yeah.
The
It's,
differences in fire code being if this is a house or a barn to the neighbors.
no, not in that aspect. When it comes to the building separation.
State doesn't care what we do.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there was a kitchenette. I think in the beginning.
Yep, so right now there isn't. Right now it's just the framing for 2 bedrooms, bathroom. And if we have a use variance approved, then we're not looking to put a kitchen in, some small kitchenette or a coffee maker or something like that. Might be a possibility, but right now there's nothing
Oh, okay,
to clarify for you. Yep,
okay, thank you.
Right, that would just be the potential plan.
that'll be the potential plan.
Should a
Yep,
use variance be granted?
yep.
You could put a microwave in without getting a permit
Correct.
Correct.
or install a stove.
Yes, I think the stove might be too far.
I'm just saying you can go buy a stove without having to get a permit.
Yeah,
Buy a microwave without getting a permit.
right.
Yeah.
If it's granted.
Right.
Or just put a coffee pot in there.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's all they need. My dad can have his coffee in the morning.
Point is, you don't need a permit to make other
Right.
changes to the property. Yeah, control of that. Anybody got any other more questions or? thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
We're gonna get together and get a written response to, discuss how we apply or don't apply these things. And then, we will reconvene after discussions with our attorney to make sure that we have something properly drawn up for you. And then, so we should be able to do that next month. And then we'll have an actual vote on whether to grant the variance or to deny it. So you'll have something in writing to
Okay.
go forth.
Okay, so your intent is to deliberate and vote at the August
I
meeting?
believe we should vote tonight to accept or decline the application.
Yeah, did we already do that?
No, you.
Okay,
You
because we
voted.
had the new
Yes,
application.
yes.
All right.
You voted to set the public hearing for tonight.
We need to vote to accept.
Well, you say we started over again, so
I move to accept the application.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So that just means we accepted your application.
Yeah.
And as far as you know, you're done with modifications or positions or,
As set forth in the letter, certainly if you have any questions or if there is any follow-up information, we're happy to provide it, but
well, if it pulls off right in the time frame, you should get a copy of the written response prior to the meeting, so you can prepare this. That would hope that we'd be able to pull it off.
excellent.
Like I said, we'll talk to our attorney.
That's Sheila, yeah.
Yeah, because of the crisscross of the codes, with the state ones in there, I'm not familiar with those at all, so I want to make sure we're not.
Right, this is just the zoning code.
Yeah, I know.
This is just the two principal uses on the same lot.
Yeah.
So we still have to answer to Joe.
Yeah, no, I know the building code things, I just want to make sure whatever we come up with for a response, accept or deny, either way, we're not crossing the line where we shouldn't.
Of course, yeah.
I want to make sure it's fair to you because obviously what's been done, I feel up to this point by your realtor was not. I think you can understand.
And
I'm sorry.
They sell the property.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean,
Unfortunately, people think that they're on their side or not on their side, and most of them are attorneys. And I hate to say it, but I've seen some really grievous, even where people have had property inspected by an inspector. And New York State doesn't hold inspectors accountable. And they firsthand knowledge of stuff, even in this town, where it's just been belligerent. And unfortunately, New York State is buyer beware.
and it was, I mean, and your point is well taken. It was a hot market when you're going through the house and you see
Yeah.
you see 3 bedrooms and 2 on its way and you're like, oh my goodness, this is great. This is everything we've been looking for. It's also what 9 other people have always been looking for. I think the hindsight is 2020 of, I'm sure you do in fact, wish that you had the opportunity to inquire, but it was a quick sale, a quick market. And, I don't think I think reasonable buyers typically don't call the town to see, is everything I thought today legal?
No, but there's a sign right on the town border.
Yeah,
That's there for that stupid reason, even though it's a little stupid sign.
yeah, there for that reason, but I think the any malice or any like concept of you were doing something
No,
about
and-
it corrected.
Unfortunately, that, like you say, any malicious intent really has a little bearing.
And I think that's an important part of the criteria too, is that aspect is what our understanding of the situation is. And
And I think a reasonable understanding.
yeah. So variances
It's
are,
not specifically called out, but
and they're tough. There's not many variances that come up to you guys.
we're getting them. Yeah, we used to get 2 or 3 a year. We're gonna.
To clarify a use variance though.
No, use variance is very unusual.
So the last use variance you had was probably 3 years ago. So a use variance request is pretty rare. You get a ton of area variance.
And mentioning.
And that's important, yeah.
No, that's why when we ruled, the confusion was, we didn't have a form to specifically to get one, so you get that straightened out.
That said use instead of area.
Use, yeah, so you were going on one thing and I knew it was gonna be use.
And that's why when you're asking me questions, it was different than what I was going off of.
So, from our end, having to learn this, they have to have those criteria listed on the permit requests and stuff, so you know what you're dealing with. That's
Yeah.
going forward, they have to do that. And we had a discussion
Yeah.
just today about town code and the permit forms
Yeah,
not having the same information on it.
yeah, I understand. I appreciate you guys taking the time to consider our specific unique situation, and we appreciate your time.
You anticipate leaving the public hearing open?
Yes, yes.
Very good.
It's like I say, when we have our written determination and we'll write something up and then the board members can add or subtract to from it. And I feel that we'll actually have an official. We'll get together next month. We'll hopefully have you a copy of that for you by then beforehand. That's my intent, because I want to just come into the meeting and say, here.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
That has been done to me before.
I'm sure it has. I spent almost 50 years dealing with the FDA, so. Yeah, so I'm not happy with the way the town does some things. It's like, man, they did you from lunch. But.
Very good. FDA joke. Eating you for lunch. Feels like
Oh,
an
yeah,
FDA.
I didn't think about that one. Good one. We were eating our stuff though, inorganic salts. Thanks, Rachel.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
yep,
Watch the deer going home.
please.
Oh, yeah. Very good. Thanks,
See
sir.
you guys.
Okay, sounds good.
Need to make a motion to,
Leave the meeting open.
I'll make motion that we leave it
Yeah,
open.
I don't know if we need to meet. All right, did I see this? Okay, I move we go on to our next
seconded that?
application.
Who seconded it?
Second.
Jessica. For the open,
Yeah,
leaving the
yeah.
meeting open.
You gotta end the public hearing.
We have to end the public hearing, no, we have to. This is where Chris already got a thing, I table it because we're gonna pick it up again next time.
that's what I meant by that.
Yeah,
Then you'll have to. Yeah.
yeah, because we're not closing it, but we're gonna have the regular meeting.
Going back to our methods about 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I wasn't a part of, by the way. So I don't know what the normal, like. 2
What it used to be for
years.
26 years.
Well, actually, I think,
We wouldn't be doing this.
right.
All
All
right,
right, Wayne, what you got? Same what you did before or something new?
thank you for your patience.
Something new, sticky. When we were up last year trying to do that, and I know with Tony's Potter's building right there next, and we weren't able to finish it. What I'm really trying to accomplish is having coverage, because I go back and forth to Florida. I'd like the vehicles to be able to be underneath something in case of hail or anything else. So, and again, I want to say Joe and everybody up here has been very, very helpful. We went through and have spent, I don't know how many times I've been up, and Joe and I have gone through it. So the shed that's gonna go out towards the road, it's a small shed addition. There's no issue with that one, and you know, so that's
Yeah, right? I found your packet from last time, Rob.
well,
Is that?
No.
yeah, but we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, this is
This is
different.
That's why I was asking, is something new or something the same?
Yeah, and just to clarify,
got built?
no, and we didn't, there was no ruling on that one.
Yeah, they withdrew from it.
He withdrew that application.
Yep.
So we.
I was trying to remember what happened. Okay.
So what we did was, instead of making the wraparound on the Potter side, just doing the shed out the front, which gives me coverage for my truck, it's an extension of the shop. So I basically got coverage there. We were looking, and Joe helped me, and we looked about going out back to do the same thing to the rear estate. But we have gardens, landscaping, trees, and to drive around to try to, just wasn't working. So the original design plan and intent that we wanted to do was a carport, or sure, reverse gable to come out across the driveway. Joe and I've gone over and did the layout for the proximate size, so that's why I know that we need to do a variance for the size of the light too, so that the pole isn't right in the middle of the driveway. And it's a small ask because you'll see that it won't affect the neighbors. My neighbor who owns the property adjacent doesn't have any issues with it. But it allows me to be able to use both. And the percentage of area that we're asking for a variance, I feel is small compared to its size and its avenue. I also have worked out with Joe and have hired Andy Dotson. And I am taking everything from the rear overhead door of the existing garage area to the back wall, and he is going to redo it with permeable stone. So I want to make sure everybody knows I'm adding that right in, even though we're not going out there with the shed, to make sure that we're trying to take care of that percentage that we had.
So the last time we had the conversation, the one big issue was the existing driveway. If I remember correctly, it was either close to or over 25% covered. lot
Yeah,
coverage.
let me just catch everybody up, because there's two issues here and we're matching them. So last time there were two separate parcels. And one was a tiny little itty bitty parcel, the other one wrapped around it, so his lot coverage was impossible. So he came in, he merged both parcels together. And it's hard to see because the parcel that merged was tiny. And it was. See where the red is right here?
Mm-hmm.
That was a separate parcel. So this parcel wrapped around it, and it would have been impossible to get the coverage that he. Okay, so he merged both properties. That's why you can see two addresses. There's an address here.
How the hell did they end up with that, just being a
See.
separate land?
Yeah, I don't know. It was.
Explain. It happened years and years ago when grandfather and great grandfather were
Pre-existing
doing stuff. So when they were selling off to people, hold the backfield to make sure nobody else would have it to build a house.
Yep.
And I broke it up and everybody here. So my grandfather had the one that I ended up getting kept to the families, and all he wanted was parking for his rental car. So he bought a 30 by 50 out of that field just to make sure two cars had a place to park in the field across the road. Then later on in life, I was able to get with the people who were gonna sell the house next door. And I bought the wrap around that one.
Oh, okay, so that was connected to a different piece of property.
Yeah.
One time, all right,
Yeah.
that makes.
So that took care of that situation.
Okay, so
now he's got way more area that he can cover without hitting the 30% lot coverage. But
Do you have a survey that shows that? Because.
yeah, I think
you're gonna-
I have hired and Ransom is doing the survey.
Okay, because if I remember correctly, this area back here,
was all driveway.
that's all driveway.
Yep.
Now, if this goes over existing driveway, that would not increase your coverage, because
Nope.
that'd be already covered.
Yep.
This, I don't remember what you had there.
So this is my new figuring. So right now
Yeah, but
he's.
that's unofficial, so.
I know, but right, it's unofficial, but it's enough to where I would feel comfortable not. But he hired one anyway, and so the yellow right here is where we talked about he's gonna put the non-permeable or permeable? The water goes through it.
No,
Permeable.
So all of this, which I was figuring before as driveway, is gonna be non-permeable, so.
Permeable.
Permeable, sorry.
So how are you gonna make it permeable?
He's gonna take out the existing stone there and we're gonna get tubes and whatnot. So basically it will drain right through it. And Andy will put this together and then I'll have it.
It's kind of like a lava.
Does that count?
It's kind of like a lava rock
Yes.
stone, yeah, it
Okay.
counts, because it's actually labeled in the sale as.
So, yeah, lava not regular number 2, so
Right.
that's why I brought it up.
Yep.
I think,
Yep.
'cause I,
On the area, could we, there's, 25% where we at, it's not official, you're getting a survey, it's coming. If we were to grant this and came back that was also an issue, and we put like a contingency on granting it, that it would be void if the survey came back.
Well,
Don't pay.
so this this meeting is just to.
Right.
See if he has,
It
like,
doesn't
he's
have
gonna
to
come
be
back
next
with the
month.
survey,
Right.
Yeah,
right? So, I mean, well, maybe,
General question.
depends on when ransom.
Right.
He gets back from Boy Scout camp or the Jamboree, he's
Yeah, the
gonna be
Jamboree.
at my house, so that basically he's planning to have that.
Alright,
so I
where
can-
is the-
It's gonna be a mess.
Where-
Maybe in-
Here's the
Yeah.
No, he's going,
We're talking
he's going to.
I mean, you got today, yeah.
That's no, that, so I've been to one, or no, two.
I told him
Hey.
to tell his son to get hold of me, cause I got a 1969 National Jamboree. patch.
Oh, yeah, you were,
Yeah.
yeah, you and Mike both went to the Jamboree, if I remember
Joe
correctly.
Hilliger.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, Joe.
Is this 6 foot and 1/4 inches? Is that what I got here?
So, yeah, now.
as far as your,
Cause that must be.
he's asking for a setback variance, so this one, he already got the permit for. Cause he doesn't need a variance, it meets all the setbacks, yeah,
What's that say?
it's,
Is that
this
6
is
foot?
his drawing, when I came up with 7 foot, and that's to the overhead. And that's to be able to get enough space, the post for a car to go. But I don't know, you.
Okay, so you're asking for 30% variance-ish.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and
This-
I rounded
got
up
the
to 7,
distance.
because it actually says like 6.7, I just rounded up to 7 to make.
So we're looking at. So you're gonna build, do you wanna build 2 cover areas?
Yeah,
Okay, so one in the front, with that,
yep, and one was permitted, you guys don't have
parking
to.
spot.
One in the front, that's, so again, it's
Yep.
where my truck can stay in. front.
Yep. And that's
And that's
more than
30
20 feet back,
30 feet.
so there's no variance needed for this one?
No.
Correct, I've already issued the permit.
Okay, so this is the only one we're dealing with.
Correct, and that's because of the lot line. Difference, it's 7 foot here and it's
okay.
it's over 10 foot on this side, so he only needs a 25 or 30% variance over. On this corner, and that's so he can
Just a
bring
line.
the post out far enough to get the.
Yeah, no,
to get the
no.
bar.
Remember, I think you talked about this before.
This one.
Yeah,
Well, again,
yes,
I should have done it when I first built the barn, because back then, things were different, that's what originally we had planned to do.
Yeah.
But then you know how budgets are when you're doing a house and a barn at the same time, so. The only thing that may change on those is my wife and I made, if we get this approved so that we can build it, instead of it having just a metal roof, I think we're gonna get a heavyweight architectural shingle and go to the plywood roof, up the beaming, everything else.
We would.
Well, yeah,
I just think,
yeah.
the only thing, but for
It's a
him,
change
he
of
knows.
things.
that-
You change the area, but okay, yeah, there's
But
construction, that's,
aesthetically, it will change the looks and we're trying to make it pleasing for everybody down.
okay.
And carry that same stuff across the road for upgrades to the house to come.
So you need a survey, so we can be positive about the coverage area. But I think if he's in agreement with the distance. And I don't know, I don't need anything else. Anybody else got any more?
It's a 3 foot setback variance.
any questions for me about it?
Drainage is covered, we've got gutters, I see it ties into existing drainage.
Yep.
Nothing to be rolling off onto. the-
Yeah, in fact, you did drainage thing on the very first one.
Yeah, yep,
So we're looking at a 10-foot variance.
No.
no, like.
3 foot.
3 foot.
Okay.
He's got 10 feet here,
Yes,
the other end's only 7 feet,
30%.
okay,
so it's a.
Thank
it's a-
you.
And again, turning out
30%.
to it between mine and the neighbors next door is farm. So I'm actually higher, but we're kind of right in the downspout drainage is right there for that. So.
okay.
Anything that I didn't have to add in, so they have it, is now, gotta give you one. Standing at the road, I have a visual where I place the post.
Oh, yeah, I
You didn't get that? I'll make sure you've got it to add it to the package, so visual.
Next month. yeah.
Right. You can visually get a better idea from the road.
So if you can get that survey in. Well, we can set the public hearing for next month. That'll be contingent on you getting that survey and having it next month, because then we should have everything we either accept or deny it from that. Okay, and we can do that in one thing.
Derek does a good job with asking him about lot coverage.
Yeah,
So
that's
if you-
good, yeah.
If you show him that top view, he can
I'm even show him the yellow area, he knows that I'm
Yes.
thinking out of it.
Yeah, you can ask him to put that in there too. I mean,
Yeah, now the
That'll-
only thing that's gonna hold you up, and I wanna make, because we can't assume that you're going to have that permeable until it is permeable.
Understand, so I'll get, Andy Dotson is doing the plan. And hopefully we'll have that paperwork to again, have here for the public hearing.
yeah, you
With
don't
the
need,
contract.
so you don't need a permit for excavating and stuff like that. So
No.
technically you can have him do all that.
No, I understand.
At any point.
But if it's still non-permeable at the
Right.
time of the hearing, then we can't approve it. If we're worried about coverage.
Unless we add it to the permit.
I will, let's go ahead and I will take a look at it, because I will get the area. I think my percentages,
Still okay
Because-
even with that?
yeah, because the area down the front that wasn't that 30 by 50 has been added to it, and I knew we were close before, it was borderline. That's why
Yeah.
you wanted to go to a survey, so now we've added that other property in, and I'm offering this up on top of it.
We might not even need it.
No, you might not.
I-
But
that's what-
We
that's
know
what-
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So
if
that's
it
all
comes
I
out
asked him to
higher,
do.
then
Right, I'm gonna ask him for the yellow area that he knows we're proposing to add in that area, if he'll have that as a separate figure and just show us what it does for the percentage.
Right, you can just show that figure on there and then if it comes out less no matter what, then that.
Right.
that-
right, if it
that
comes out
figure we're
less, but if
saying
it comes out
doesn't.
more, then this is what I'm,
Gotta put stone in first.
yeah.
Yes,
Because it's just like somebody says they're gonna tear down a building and they get a permit to put up the other one, they haven't torn the first one down, and 10 years later, they still haven't torn it down. Because that's what happens.
Understand?
And that's nothing personal against you, because I
I
know what you're
honestly-
trying to do, it's just, it's tough to do it in the timeframes here.
It's, and I understand the whole concept of going, but I just believe it's very tough to all these rules. I mean, we doing it commercially. You spend all this time for all of this drainage that we don't end up seeing it really benefit anybody. It makes it tough to plow. The stuff collects sediment and everything else, and those things are all clean. So unless you're gonna take it apart and put it back together, it only works for a year. So again, I think that's a cart chasing the horse, but that's a different story. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for hearing me today.
No,
This is,
we gotta,
we can
move to this point, the application.
Yeah, you guys can vote.
And just,
it was just extra, just
Yeah.
yours and mine.
I move to accept the application.
I'll second it.
I don't think we're ready to accept it, because we don't have the
We need
survey
the
yet.
survey.
Leave it open and I will have stuff to him soon.
Yeah, we need to have the survey to know whether we got an area variance issue or not.
That would be another variance, right? Be two
Yeah.
variances. So this would just be accepting the.
Setting the public hearing.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we set the
okay.
public hearing, and they're gonna try to get that
And you can
information,
bring that in.
maybe an issue, maybe not. And then we can accept it that night, if he's got all the information, then we. The other way, yeah, just gotta make sure we got all the information.
Do you want to make a motion to set the public hearing?
Yes.
Who's gonna make the motion?
I'll make the motion, we set the public hearing for Black Bear.
I can.
All fair?
Aye.
Thanks again.
No problem, good to see you again, yeah. Get a hold of Goody, he doesn't answer his phone worth a damn. But yeah,
You know, I get back up here and everybody sees mine, it's a 407 area code.
I got a call from a friend of mine from South Carolina. God, she moved to South Carolina, I go, I don't want to be in South Carolina.
That first one, listening to it all, that still sounds like that was pretty sticky. And that realtor did somebody else.
What people don't understand is realtors are selling a
They're
property,
trying to sell it.
they're not lawyers.
No,
And I have personally seen where somebody's lawyer,
lake rights, to me, lake rights. What do you got? So there's a dock out there that you share. They didn't tell me that either.
yeah,
Yeah,
and they just want to make sure that the title's clean. Even the lawyers, make sure the title's clean, they don't look at this other stuff. I know places
That's too.
have personally claimed where they've had inspectors come in and say, oh, everything's fine, and it's not, New York State does not hold
But
inspectors.
more to call it, so.
Yeah, so there's, I mean, that's unfortunately,
Unfortunately.
you learn this when you buy property and you find out you got screwed.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
that was a problem though.
Unfortunate situation.
Okay, meeting minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Good night.
I have a copy of it.
Thanks. So what is this one?
It should.
June.
You've got to approve May.
We have me?
Well, you did have May.
Yeah, we, it
And
was,
nobody-
Well, we
We
got
forgot,
corrected.
we
We got
forgot.
a corrected one. So we gotta look.
No,
No?
there is no corrected one. Because you guys did vote on an area variance. It was supposed to be a use variance. You voted on an area.
No,
variance.
we voted on use variance.
So you did not.
Yes, we did.
You
Yes,
look
we
at the
did.
You look at the
In May?
recording.
yeah, because
We voted on a use. You voted on a use variance for Wellesley in May.
No, for these guys.
No, the problem, she's right, the
You-
problem is
You
how it's
read
advertised.
the area variance. I advertised in the paper use variance for him, principal.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's what we voted on.
and an area variance for the other one and a use variance for Wellesley. But when you voted for Sepola, you read the area variance
You
criteria.
did, you read
You're right,
five
you did.
criteria instead of.
Did not. I read right off this.
For
And I
Wellesley, you
gave-
did.
No, this
Yes,
is the
for Wellesley, you
use
did.
variance for Sepola. We read right from here
And there were 4 questions or 5?
forward. And I gave her mine and we read right from there. That it
You
was
gotta
use
look at
variance.
look at the recording.
Because we actually brought that point up. And it was written
Yes,
right
you
off.
did for Wellesley.
No, this is for them. No, we didn't have a use variance. They had an
Yes, you
area
did.
variance.
He was a short-term rental.
Oh, that was a different thing. I was talking about him, because I specifically showed her that it was this, the use variance.
I wasn't here, so I can't.
No, we voted on use variance. We brought that point up. That it was gonna be a use variance. We specifically talked about that.
Well, now here, this says request for rehearing of the use variance application.
If he put in an application for an area variance, because that's all we had. But we read use variance criteria. In fact, they made a point
You know, I can't
of showing.
remember that.
Responses.
I don't
Yeah, there's
remember
four responses.
We have 5 here.
No, that's different. That's not him.
It's
No,
not.
no, that's, no.
That's the.
I only read
I don't ever remember using use variance. That does not mean it didn't happen. My memory is not good.
We flipped it over and I gave you this, told you we had to use this side for it.
That was for Wellesley.
It's a poem.
I don't know. So is there a discrepancy on this for you?
Well, my
It's
minutes,
irrelevant because we started the whole thing all over, so.
We still have to,
Right, so you can vote on the
you
minutes
still have to approve
regardless.
the minutes.
I wasn't here, I can't comment.
Okay, look at the very, here, old business. The discussion about the minutes and the minutes were not accepted since the Sepola hearing was not done correctly. Corrections will be made to the minutes and presented at the next ZBA meeting.
But
This
when I
is,
looked at the recording, I did not have to change anything.
oh,
For those, for the minutes for May. I did not have to change anything. So, because I went over the recording all over again.
okay, and we did deal with use?
No,
No, we
not for
didn't.
Sepola.
Okay, not for
I
Sepola.
know.
Okay, and that would. Ah. It's gonna be a 2-man hat, no.
Well, I mean,
That sounds good.
I don't wanna go back and watch it again, so.
Okay, so. Now what?
Well, we have to approve the May minutes. The thing is, we cannot end a meeting without approving the minutes. They have to be approved,
Yeah, I understand.
whether there's corrections or not. They have to be approved at every meeting.
Okay,
And if we do an executive session, there has to be a motion to end the executive session, the recording has to be started again, then we have to go to the rest of the meeting.
All right, that's what we did last time,
Yeah, we ended at the end of it and then.
the last meeting, okay. And I do not have my May minutes in. They're in my whatever.
Julie, I wasn't here, so I don't really need to read these. That's the stuff I heard from. There's a few
Sorry.
things that
Excuse me, sir.
circled in notes, but ignore my chicken scratch.
Excuse me.
This is the guy down the road here that had his house in the woods. Then we had Eric's.
Yes. Oh, yeah, Tara Wellpley, the short term.
So just send another. What was it?
Still renting it.
She's still renting it.
In my investigation, she's still renting it.
There's water usage.
See, they second use area variance.
But I have lots of proofs, and it's-
Mhm.
I ticketed her, so we'll find out in
I
court.
know that we did, you know, that was his
You
use.
only do so much.
I mean, our town didn't think about every scenario, and we really can't, so.
No, that's one, that's
Is it-
actually why we exist, because they can't.
Right.
But I warned them about when they wrote up the first, they're gonna make some of the same mistakes again, when they wrote up the first zoning laws, I said, you need to be consistent throughout the law.
Yeah.
Now, we already found multiple times they weren't, but the town boards never changed any of them, so they're still sitting out there floating around. We have the one about the right-of-way thoroughfare crap that went on forever. And then they worded one section one way and one section that was almost the same, but not a different way. They should have dropped one of those sections, and we recommended they do that, they never changed it.
Never changed it.
So that's still floating out there, and it had to do with thoroughfares being connected or right of ways being connected, because the guy built on the other side of a ditch. He wanted to build next to the ditch, but the ditch was actually part of the whole right of way, but you couldn't get through because there's a ditch there. It was a mess. We spent months on that one.
Well, this one in particular is a town law, and we're the leader in writing this law. No other town has written a short-term rental law. Everybody copies ours. So the fact that,
Well, I have a problem with our short-term rental law.
yeah, but if I kind of do with certain situations, you look at how much like people on the lake are getting $500-600 a night.
A
Then-
night?
Oh yeah, a night.
Oh, yeah.
But then, and that's on the lower end. I'm
Yeah,
saying
but
lower.
what's that got to do with that?
Well, listen, but then
Will bear.
but then you've got penalties of,
Oh, yeah, the penalty,
$600
yeah,
per
no,
day.
that's.
so if I were a property owner down there, I'm gonna rent it out and just eat the fines from the town.
That's nothing,
Punishable by fine means legal with the price.
Right.
That's all that means.
So,
that's not unusual in this whole country.
I know, I'm just saying that, you know,
No, there's down in Florida, that happens all the time, because
Yeah.
people will say, okay, so the fine for this thing, and this even came up with the dentist down there. The fine is, the correction is gonna be $30,000, the fine's $100 a week or whatever. It's a long time before it gets up to 30 grand.
right,
Pay the fine.
If you look, in fact, the same kind of applies to real estate. If you look in, they don't probably do it anymore, because newspapers, but there used to be a whole section of overdue taxes.
Yeah.
In the end of the year, almost all of them are realty places, because they won't pay the taxes until they're gonna lose property if they don't.
right,
And the whole thing would be hundreds of them,
right.
because those people are in the process of making money, so they will, if you got 2 years, when I think Ontario dropped it to 1 year before they foreclosed, they'd let the thing default
Right.
until it came to where they were gonna put an auction that they pay
Gonna
it.
take it, right, yeah.
Because if they could sell in the meantime, they ain't gotta pay it.
In Ontario counties, a 2-year process.
Yeah, but I think they shortened it up to where they actually start calling for the follow after one now, but it may be
Yeah, they
two.
file a list pendants in October,
Yeah,
and then,
but they
They
used to
have-
have the paper used to come out all
yeah.
these defaults.
oh, yeah.
And almost all of them were realtors because they know there's no penalty. Okay, say you pay 10% more or whatever on your property. They don't care compared to the overall cost. They just let it go. And the same thing happens with violations for building stuff. The town's loose dog law. State's $250, the town $25. You know, so when the town doesn't put any teeth in anything, the people are just gonna ignore it and say, okay, pay the fine.
Yeah.
It's the cost of business.
When was the poll? See, first, second, or third in May?
First,
First.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, the guy with the addition, and then welcome was last.
Okay.
I was just gonna see if I could pull it.
Yeah. I know that he put in a area variance. Cause that's all they had. So. But that's where we move on, that was because that's when he filed, we found out later, they don't have anything but any variances. How you come up with that?
With what? Sorry.
Updating the forms.
Oh, I emailed our current form to Sheila because we were talking about revamping the whole thing and she's like, well, wouldn't it be easier if you just send me the form? I'll update what needs to be updated and we'll create a second form for area. All she had to do was, according to my understanding, was put the criteria.
Yeah, the criteria has to be in them, so that
Yep.
people know what they're getting judged
So,
against.
so each one will have the criteria based on the variance, and then each one will be labeled. Per
Area
variance, area versus use variance.
And we still need something. Cause we've had a couple of these of, cause it's still considered a variance ruling.
Yeah, like with the short-term rental.
No, that was used, but,
It actually wasn't use, it's just a town law that. Right, or maybe it is a use, I don't know.
but now I'm talking about, legal interpretation. Steve Krieger had one years ago when the planning board tried to say to split his land.
Yeah,
And he
so-
came in for.
We have a form for that, a legal interpretation.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we have a form for it,
Okay.
I just
Cause
didn't.
that's considered another ruling, comes under all the rules.
Or the appeal.
Yeah.
Basically.
Cause. We don't have that on the website, but there is a form that is outside my office
Mhm.
that is put in. So I don't know.
And when we had the
for
discussion
that.
today, when I was talking to Chris and you were having lunch there, that none of those forms are in the code. And I said, well, because you have to update the code. There should be an appendix to the code that lists these forms, because these forms should be approved by the town. So there's consistency with that.
Should be accessible.
Yeah. Like I said, the FDA have this place for lunch because everything that you have, good manufacturing practice, FDA, all those things, ISO 9000, all the European rules, they all follow the same kind of format with, if you have a form that has to be followed, it has to be certified as being acceptable. And so otherwise you're just writing a form.
Well, that's.
Got no idea if there's any legal grounds for what you're doing or not. And if it's not consistent with the code, now you've created, like we talked about, an ambiguous situation,
Correct.
which leaves the town's ass swinging in the wind. And it's like, there's no reason for it, just, this has to be, you may got a form like your work with Sheila now. But there should be a list of forms. If you don't want to make it part of the code, you still have to make it so people have these things accessible. Especially as we go more and more to electronic,
Yeah.
where they're looking stuff up online. I mean, you sent me the thing for the permit for my place, electronics, like, I can't read this, let them fill it out. Yeah, magnifying glass.
Yeah, so the building department's governed by a state code, it's the 1203. So I am allowed to make forms, but that's different than zoning. Zoning's completely.
No, I know.
I don't
But like
know
we
the
talked about
process.
with the thing today, with them coming in, it says
Yeah.
14 days. And if that is a separate control,
Yes, but it's
That-
not though. It's not. I double checked that. I talked with Christine.
Chris, she doesn't have any overriding the way that's written.
Right, but that's actually not in the code. It's not
Right.
all in the
But if
code
the
whatsoever.
forms are the controlling function,
Right,
then they're the controlling function.
right. Well, but technically they're not, because they're not, it's one of those things that has to be put in our code. Right, it has to be updated. So
You
Christine,
have to have a reference to a form or something along those lines, and it should be
Correct.
revision numbers, the whole 9 yards. It'll be issued 1996, revision 1, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And then you have down the other revisions so that people can say, this is what it is, and it has to be a controlling factor. And she was like, oh, nobody can come in the day, they turn in the day before, they show up. Well, if we have a meeting, you're gonna get anybody here.
right, which,
You have to have time to notify people that there's a meeting going on. So you have to have some time limit unless we already have a meeting scheduled.
and that's, I
There's
think,
nothing in there about any of that.
and I think that's why they put it on the form.
Oh, I know why they put it in a form. And we were doing it electronically before. The code enforcement officer used to send them out by mail. And we got all the forms delivered, or they delivered them by the house manually.
Right.
And we had the forms and everything going on as we switched more to electronic. Now you shorten the time frame, but you gotta codify that or formalize it someplace.
I'll concur with Sheila. I'll copy you in on email because I'm confused about it too. I know it's supposed to be definitive, but our code, whether it's right or wrong, isn't definitive.
Well, no, and then what you end up with is just like we talked,
Situations like.
well, just like we
this
talked
one.
about the surveys, right? You're making a judgment call on whether to need a survey. We tried to get the town, and I was in the meeting with Sheila and whatever his nuts was, the previous superintendent,
Yes,
supervisor, about in the meeting about the fact that you need to codify this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're hanging in the wind. Because if you make a judgment call on someone being above or below the coverage area without a survey, and you're proven wrong later, now the town's liable.
yeah, and that's where that authority having jurisdiction comes into play, where people can sue the towns for giving wrong information.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're still being recorded, gentlemen.
No, that's okay. I
Yeah,
don't care if they hear this, they need to start acting on this stuff. I've done it for months.
Well, there is a big folder.
Yeah, I can.
Your name.
There is a big folder of code corrections that have to happen.
Yeah, I know, but this is the kind of things that can get the town in trouble, and there's no reason for it.
I know.
Because if they make you make judgment calls like that in the fly, and you're really trying to pay attention to the details, we've got these kind of things floating around out here. How many times we had 3 big ones in the last couple of years that were started before?
Yeah, it's more than 3, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
but I mean,
It's not, it's
costing
more
the-
than what it should be.
It's costing the town tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees.
Right, and probably that same amount just in my investigation time fees, and time and
You get paid
figuring out
anyway,
what's
that
wrong.
account.
Yeah, but it could be put in another, be put in another pool.
Yeah.
Right, listen. Time out. All right,
Sorry.
let's vote on this. And then we can carry on the discussion afterwards, after you close the meeting. See what time it is? 9 o'clock. It's getting close to bedtime.
Is it
I move we accept the
the May?
minutes.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
I
move we accept June 10th meetings.
second it.
All in favor?
I
Right, you gotta
We
adjourn, somebody's gotta adjourn.
So we can't close the meeting and then keep on the conversation with the quorum, because that's still considered an open meeting. We can't do that.
Yeah, don't stop the recording if they're gonna continue.
No,
No, what I want to do as part of the meeting is, unfortunately, Laura has submitted her, resignation letter effective Friday, July 17th. So we will be down to,
How many full-time members? That's just what I want to know for.
There's only 4.
4.
It's gonna be me and Eric here in 6 months.
Yep.
Do we, yeah, we already talked.
So we have one person who's expressed interest, and Jesse's got another one. I didn't get the email, but so we got 2
I'll
people.
put them again.
We need to get hold of them and have them come into meetings.
Right.
ASAP.
because we're gonna need 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause I have to.
They also have to have the training before they can vote, right?
No,
I thought that,
No.
that was
No,
my assumption,
no, they
right?
have to be approved by the town board.
Yep.
So the training is.
They have to be.
you're gonna
approved
love
by
the
town
training
board.
thing. State law says we have to have the training, but if you don't have the training, it doesn't affect your ability to vote.
Okay,
That's the way it's actually written. So
My,
it's-
my brain works in conjunction with
Yes.
rules and laws.
They just
so-
have to have 4 hours that year.
Okay, so
Every year they
they
have
can
more.
vote
But even if-
for
but even-
11 months and then.
No, even if you don't have it, you can still vote.
Right, that's what I mean. So for 11 months you can vote, but the 12th
Correct.
month you
No.
can get the 4 hours of.
No, there's no teeth to it ever.
There's no teeth to it ever.
Only your own brain saying, gee, I should know a little bit more about this than I do.
All right,
It says you have to take 4 hours of training. Or you used to be able to take, if you took 8, you could carry the 4 over, then they eliminated that. But it does not invalidate your ability to vote. Or hold the position. Which is, it's New York State. But we have to get people, because you have to have a quorum,
we need.
and that's where the problem's gonna be.
Yeah.
So does this mean that Stephanie can advertise on the,
Oh, yeah.
I think it's been on the website.
I think it's.
well, I mean, right now it's just for an alternate. I don't think it's for a,
No, we gotta have a full-time and an alternate.
right, but
Florian,
I'm saying right now, what's on the website for advertising? Just
alternate, I think.
an alternate, correct?
Yeah,
So we need to put on there
that we need
a minimum of
Appointment.
one.
yes.
Yeah, because I can't, even if I were to stay in office, I can't vote remotely.
Yeah.
So Chris looked at all of
Then
them.
you can't hold your position that you have. I didn't ask about you being on the board in general, but you can't hold the leader position on the board as well,
For what?
for the zoning board.
If you're not a resident.
If you're not if you have dual residency, you.
Yeah, there's no such thing as dual residency.
well,
So in order to, there's just, in case you ever get in a situation, so Florida doesn't have a residency requirement other than you change your voting thing and you change your driver's license and those kind of things. And you make a declaration. New York State has the 6 months and a day
Right,
to remove you from New York State residency. Because otherwise, you can be a Florida voter and Florida driver's license, all that kind of stuff. But if New York State does not recognize your residency change, they will still tax you as a New York State resident. And if you remain on a board, that's one of the things they can consider you as being a New York resident still. They said, and it's really goofy, I don't know how they ever follow up on this, because there's so many people do moving, but it's if you have political or social connections to New York State, they can deny your residency change.
okay.
So, yeah, I can't even, you gotta step down away from everything. In December, I'll start filing all the paperwork. It's on effect next year, so I'll have the
You're
time.
gonna keep
in.
your property up here, aren't you?
Oh, hell yeah. Blood for that property, it ain't going nowhere. The assessors seem to think it's worth $1 million, but
Yeah, well.
that's a different issue. Well, I got 40 years of wildlife production going into that place. I'm not gonna.
To say nothing about the trees you planted.
That's what I mean. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years, proving up for
Right.
wildlife. I'm giving up on that.
Okay, shall we?
Yes.
Are we done?
Yep. Motion to adjourn,
Okay.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
So yeah, so that's why